Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultan of Oman television. First, the headlines. The U.S. Secretary of State begins a trip to Qatar and Germany tomorrow to visit U.S. diplomats and troops, along with Afghans evacuated from Kabul. AstraZeneca and the European Commission reach a settlement on the delivery of 200 million pending COVID-19 vaccine doses by the drug maker. And Australia struggles to quell its worst wave of COVID-19 as a surge in the total number of daily new cases are reported. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Eastern Economic Forum, EEF, said yesterday that the implementation of the statements made by the Taliban must be watched. According to Putin, Afghanistan's disintegration is not in the interest of Russia, as there would be nobody to negotiate with at that time. The sixth EEF opened on Thursday and ends today in the Russian city of Vladivostok in both an online and offline format. The main theme of this year's event is the opportunities for the Far East in a world under transformation. Founded by Putin in 2015, the EEF has served as an important venue for dialogue among politicians, business executives and experts for Far East development and regional cooperation. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken begins a trip to Qatar and Germany tomorrow to visit U.S. diplomats and troops, along with Afghans evacuated from Kabul. Blinken told reporters this.
In a couple of days on Sunday, I'll be heading to Doha, where I'll meet with Qatari leaders to express our deep gratitude for all that they're doing to support the evacuation effort. I'll also have a chance to meet with Afghans, including our locally employed staff from Embassy Kabul, who are now safely in Doha preparing for their journey to the United States. And I'll convey our pride and thanks to the diplomats, troops, and other U.S. government employees in Doha who are doing truly heroic work around the clock to keep this process moving forward as quickly and humanely as possible. From there, we're heading to Ramstein Air Base in Germany, where, again, I'll have a chance to meet with Afghans awaiting processing and the Americans who are staffing that effort. I'll also meet with Foreign Minister Maas of Germany, and we'll hold a ministerial meeting on Afghanistan with him live and then virtually with other partners. It'll include more than 20 countries that all have a stake in helping to relocate and resettle Afghans and in holding the Taliban to their commitments.
AstraZeneca and the European Commission have reached a settlement on the delivery of 200 million pending COVID-19 vaccine doses by the drug maker, ending a row about shortages that had weighed on the company and the region's vaccination campaign. The dispute plunged the European Union into crisis earlier this year as states under pressure to speed up vaccinations scrambled for shots. It also caused a public relations crisis for AstraZeneca, which is led by Frenchman Pascal Soriot. As part of yesterday's settlement, AstraZeneca has committed to deliver 60 million doses of its vaccine by the end of the third quarter this year, 75 million by the end of the fourth quarter, and 65 million by the end of the first quarter of 2022. When including deliveries already made, that schedule maps out the honouring of a 300 million dose bulk purchasing contract struck about a year ago between the company and the EU after months of conflict over delay. The European Commission launched legal action against AstraZeneca in April for not respecting the contract and for not having a reliable plan to ensure timely deliveries. Australia, struggling to quell its worst wave of COVID-19, reported 1,756 infections today, another record high, and officials warned that the worst is yet to come, urging people to get vaccinated. Most of the cases were again in New South Wales, which has been fighting an outbreak of the highly infectious Delta variant since mid-June. The state reported 1,533 new cases and 4 further deaths. Wilcannia in far west New South Wales has been one of the state's hardest hit areas. With a large Indigenous population, many living in multi-generational households, Wilcannia reported 9 new cases. Some people in the town are now living in COVID-19 isolation accommodations to separate community members. Thai Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha won a confidence vote in Parliament today after a frenzy of speculation over the makeup of the ruling coalition. The rumours were his own political allies might try to unseat him had recently overshadowed harsh criticism from the opposition about his government's coronavirus response. Thai media were instead abuzz with rumors that the Secretary General of the military-backed ruling party was leading the effort to unseat Prayuth and to add the main opposition party to the coalition. Prayuth won 264 votes in the House of Representatives against 208 no-confidence votes. From the sky, the town of Manville in New Jersey doesn't look as damaged as it is from the ground. The whole town was flooded as a result of the remnants of the Hurricane Ida, and it took 24 hours for the waters to recede. It caused significant damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles. Across New Jersey, at least 23 people died from the storm, and there are fears the toll could rise still further. Storm evacuees in Manville are now at a Veterans of Foreign Wars post that was being used as a temporary shelter for displaced flood victims. Still to come in a news bulletin. A campaign has started to remove mesquite trees in the wilaya of Jailani Banibu Ali in the governorate of South Sharqiya. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The public establishment for industrial estate, Madayan, obtained the initial approval of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning for expansion of Samal Industrial City to around 5 million square meters. The ministry will provide 600 land plots, increasing the area of the city to 12,800,000 square meters, as to be the biggest industrial city in the Sultanate after Sohar and Sur industrial cities in terms of area. The city has attracted many investors from inside and outside the Sultanate. More than 52% of the plots allocated for renting were reserved due to its investment, environment, and custom exemptions and other incentives. Broad money supply witnessed a noticeable growth at the end of the second quarter of the current year by 6.7% on annual basis, as to reach 20.1 billion Omani riyals at the beginning of 2021. This increase was the result of rise in narrow money supply by 4.7% and in near money by 7.6%, which includes saving deposits, term deposits in Omani riyals, plus certificates of deposits issued by banks. Narrow money also slightly increased due to growth of an on-demand deposits by 8.1% during the same period. The average interest rates on deposits at conventional commercial banks witnessed a slight increase last June. The industrial companies listed at Muscat Stock Exchange recorded a noticeable increase during last month, benefiting from improvements in its performance during the first half of the current year. The industrial sector index closed at 5,961 points, increasing by 115 points above its closure last July, while the main index of the stock exchange retreated 63 points, closing at 3,966 points. The financial sector index recorded the biggest losses, declining by 124 points, while the service sector index lost 4 points. The market value recorded gains of around 2%, increasing to 11,917 million riyals, registering increase with more than 390 million riyals due to new listings in the closed market. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources implemented a campaign to remove mesquite trees in the wilaya of Jailan Banibu Ali in the governorate of South Sharqiya. The campaign aims to spread awareness among society members on the importance of environment conservation and combating this tree due to its diverse effects on the environment and farms. The mesquite tree consumes too much water, which causes a lack of shortage in groundwater reserve in the long term. The tree also doesn't allow local trees to grow in or within its area, which endangers local trees. Locals in the wilaya of Jailan Banibu Ali volunteered to help the ministry in combating this tree spreads widely on wadis there. The Omani Women Association in Samail, in cooperation with the Department of Blood Bank Services, held a blood donation campaign that witnessed a great response from various segments in the society. More details in the following report.
To meet the huge demand for blood units at the health institutions across the Sultanate, the Omani Women Association in Samail in cooperation with the Department of Blood Bank Services, held a blood donation campaign under the theme, "A drop of your blood can save someone else's life."
Blood donation is important for the patient which hospitalized, and there is so many patients need blood donors, and the person donor can donate 4 times a year in 1 year. So also this not also important, but save the life of the patient.
The Noble Drive also endeavored to urge the public to commit to blood donation all year through to maintain adequate blood supply at the blood banks.
I feel happy that to donate blood. I advise all who is good healthy to donate blood. As you know, a drop of your blood saves the life of others.
They should appreciate these people, and they should help them and tell them that about to come to donate blood and to save people for that who in the hospital need or the RTA need for blood. Not to be afraid, not to be aware for this and why I will be donated. 1 drop of blood, you can help so many patients.
Amid precautionary measures, the donors first fill in the registration form. Next, they move to HB level testing, then medical examination and review of the donor form, and finally proceed to preparation for blood donation. Around 15 minutes of your time and 450 milliliters of your blood can mean the whole world to someone who is in dire need of blood. Donate blood generously, save lives. From the Wilaya of Samail, صالح بخلفان الرحبي, الداخلية Government.
This is Sultan Oman Television. Before tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The U.S. Secretary of State begins a trip to Qatar and Germany tomorrow to visit U.S. diplomats and troops along with Afghans evacuated from Kabul. AstraZeneca and the European Commission reach a settlement on the delivery of 200 million pending COVID-19 vaccine doses by the drug maker. And Australia struggles to quell its worst wave of COVID-19 as a surge in the total number of daily new cases are recorded. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom